Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Wine Library TV. I'm your host, Gary Vaynerchuk. And today, as you can tell, I've got two guests, and twice the fun. Molly and Charlie Meeker. Molly and Charlie Meeker make some of the most interesting wines in all of California, and they're really interesting characters. I think this is going to be a great episode. But besides that, I do have a quick little story. When I was 14 years old, the first wine I remember when I started working and cleaning the shelves and making ice that was on display when you first walk into Wine Library was a Meeker Gold Leaf Zinfandel. I think it was 91 vintage or 90 vintage, and I just remember that it was like normally $19.99 and on sale for $8.99. And I thought that was like amazing, and I'm sure the wholesaler did the wrong. They're probably not happy hearing that.
Well,
but the reality is that it was a very hot wine, and I kind of remember it being one of those first wines I ever remember in the shop. So for me, on a personal level, it's really cool to have you guys here, and so I thank you for being here.
Thank you.
We're thrilled to be here.
Today we're going to be focusing on three wines, and before we do that, I will allow the Meekers to give you a little feedback on what they do and what they're about. So,
you want to do the 1.5 minute history?
My wife talks first always.
No, I don't. Go ahead.
We've had our winery since 1984. We bought our first vineyard in Dry Creek Valley in Sonoma County in 1977. I learned to make wine from 77 through 84. All the time. Molly and I had full-time jobs in Los Angeles, so we were commuting 25 times a year back and forth. And we opened the winery in '84, and it was a hobby, and it's basically grown into a business, but it was a hobby. And we moved full-time to Sonoma County in 1999, and now we spend our 100% of our time in the wine business, or almost
112% of our
now
time.
we've got a couple of wines here, but I know that you make lots of wines. What are your top 2 or 3 production wines?
Well, our handprint Merlot is really our flagship.
And how many cases of?
Well, we're now up to making this we're about to bottle the '04 vintage, which will have somewhere, I don't know, 3,500 cases. We started that with 200 cases, and it was a great idea at 200 cases because
to put your handprints on the bottles.
One of the winemakers puts our handprint. I have a co-winemaker, Matt Blankenheim, and either Matt or I put our handprints on every bottle, one bottle at a time. At 200 cases, it was fun. At 3,500 cases, we spend 4 weeks a year standing at a table with molds made of our hands, putting acrylic paints, it's artist acrylic paints on our hands, and grabbing one bottle at a time.
Kind of loses its charm.
We need to bring Wine Library TV there and tape that for a couple hours.
Okay.
For the laugh.
No, but you have then you have to help us.
then you're enlisted.
I'll be in for a thumb. Okay, so great. And what's the suggested retail on that guy? Ballpark.
Here, well, we retail it in our tasting room in California at $35 with shipping and taxes and stuff. To the East Coast, it usually ends up around $37-ish, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Okay, let's start tasting wines. We're
Okay.
going to start with this guy right here.
We have a lot of fun with our labels, and this is one of our cereal labels. This one is called the Great Cab Series. This is actually the second in the series. The first one had a 1956 cab on the front of it. This one has a 1927.
When we say cab, we mean an actual cab.
Taxi cab.
The back label of this bottle says, "With this bottle we hail 2 great cabs, one in the bottle and one on the label." And this label has the 1927, has a hand drawing of the 1927 Checker Model H taxi cab on it. And
this is designed to be
it's a Mendocino fruit. Our wineries in Sonoma, we make 17 wines currently. Most of them are Sonoma County, but we're up near the Sonoma Mendocino border, and we get some wonderful grapes from Mendocino as well.
What's the suggested retail of this guy right here?
This is under $20.
Yeah, we retailed in California at $19, and it's designed to be sort of an every night drinking cab. Although I think it's of all of our wines, it's probably the best value, the most bang for the buck is with this Cabernet.
Let's see about that.
It's my opinion. It's only my opinion. You can have your own.
We've had a lot of success with this wine, as by the glass in some fine restaurants. And as Molly says, it's intended to be. We're priced it at an everyday what we hope is an everyday drinking wine price.
There's a lot of definitions for it.
Yes.
The fruit is really bright on this wine.
It has black currant.
It's got good dark color. I mean, we're a little situated here. I'm not sure if you're gonna be able to tell. It's not the pitch black color that you always see from Cabernet, but it's a dark ruby red color. The fruit is very vibrant. which I like, which makes you kind of think of almost Australian-ish in style, where there's a lot of fruit on this wine. Is it 100% American oak?
No.
Or what is this?
Oh, no, it's
oak.
a mixture of American oak and French oak.
Okay.
And it's about 83% Cabernet, and then there's some Merlot, Cab Franc, and Petit Verdot in there. You could call it a Meritage if you wanted to, but and it has it's a really smooth. We do a lot
and the tannins are still pretty firm. I mean,
it'll age. Nobody told it was an every night drinking wine.
Right,
It's going to go on doing its
This
own
is
thing.
from a small vineyard that was farmed for many years by a guy named Gary Dodd, and it's just fabulous fruit. It's a relatively cool part of Mendocino, just a couple of miles away from the Sonoma County border. So.
I mean, to me, it's not a screaming value. I mean, I think it is what it is. I mean,
Right.
you're getting your true value for the price of that $20 range, and for a fruit forward Cabernet at $20, it's definitely very nice. All right, let's go into this guy right here.
Yeah.
This is a really amazing
This is,
concept.
I mean, we.
So what? I cut you off. Are you guys are? No, you did. You're still doing every single bottle.
We do every single bottle, either Matt or me.
That's insane.
It's done with acrylic paints, with artist paints. If you're an artist, Winsor & Newton and Liquitex, which are the two. We'll spend over $30,000 on paint this year. And we
Just
have
for this
molds
one.
made of our hands.
But you're not passing that price on to the customer.
Oh God, no.
No, of course not.
None of that gets passed.
No.
But and the packaging's so fun and interesting.
It's an amazing package.
But the wine lives up to the packaging. It's a big Merlot. Has a lot of hillside fruit in
Are you
it.
trying to go for a California, a real vibrant Merlot, or are you trying to go for more of a Bordeaux style, Pomerol style?
Well, we think of this as a big, huge Merlot.
Monster Merlot.
Yeah, I mean, but not necessarily un-Bordeaux-like. I mean, in Bordeaux,
Yeah, so some of the garage wines
some of the
nowadays.
great,
Yeah.
big Merlots, and
Petrus.
this is all the fruit in this comes from Alexander Valley, Dry Creek Valley, and the Russian River Valley, all within right near Healdsburg, where those three appellations come together. Lots of big cherry fruit. It ages beautifully.
It's not your little sister's Merlot.
No, it is not. Now, what was the first vintage of this wine?
The first vintage was 1991, I believe, was the first one, and that was basically because we do a Meritage style blend.
Store in business, huh?
Oh, they're
They
very
love
happy
you,
with
huh?
us. Yes,
Yeah, we're big
They're putting
consumers.
their son through college. Yes.
We're big consumers of artist
Of that.
paint. It comes in little tubes.
This is a very serious wine. This is very tannic right now. It's still got a lot of complexity for an 03. Obviously, it's very young. It's got a lot of structure. Really nice complexity to it. Great nose too.
And
Is this 100% Merlot?
No, it's once again it's 80. I'm sorry, 84%.
It's got Cab
some
Franc?
cab. It's got some cab. It's got some Cab
Yeah,
Franc.
on the
It
nose.
has 0.5% of Petit Verdot, and it has
Just a little
1.5% of
color. Just got that
Syrah.
color.
I'm giving away our secrets, but it has a little Syrah in it too. But
We'll run
not
that
very
back
much.
for you. Just a little
Now, Charlie and Matt are like chefs with Petit Syrah and Syrah. They put a little bit in almost everything. It's kind of like the way a chef
Sure,
uses salt
sure,
and pepper.
absolutely.
They like.
But it's mainly Merlot and Cab.
I think you may notice how comfortable they are in front of the camera, the blog camera. I think everybody would really enjoy just a little history of what you did before the wine industry, because I'm very fascinated.
Well, we had to
years
keep-
and years ago.
And we had to keep our day jobs to afford our winery habit, and we both worked in the entertainment industry. Charlie originally as an entertainment lawyer, and I worked as a business affairs person with Norman Lear and Bud Yorkin. And
Norman had a couple of shows, huh?
Oh, just about. Yeah, well, for a while there, we like to think that we owned CBS. We had 10 television series on the air at once, and even by today's standards, Dick Wolf with the Law and Order
Sure.
franchise, we had them beat hands down. But anyway, and then Charlie went on to become an independent producer.
1984, actually, the same year we started the winery.
You decided to get really busy.
Well,
you were inspired by the Olympics.
I don't know what it was.
I
It was
left.
getting out of Dodge.
I left my law firm and went into partnership with a great producer who had been a client of mine for years, named Ed Feldman. And over 5 years, we made 8 motion pictures. We made the first picture. Ed came back to Pennsylvania and produced Witness, the Harrison Ford picture. Then we did Golden Child with Eddie Murphy.
Small film.
My favorite film, because I was the one that went out and spent 9.5 weeks in the desert while Ed was was up working on Witness, was a scary film called The Hitcher that starred Rutger Hauer. And the fun thing about the Hitcher from our standpoint is that about 3 years ago, Molly and I and another lady named Leslie Scharf wrote a sequel screenplay to
no kidding.
which Universal produced. Hitcher 2 is out
I've been waiting.
I've been waiting, and in June 14th, in about 10 days from now, Universal is starting to shoot a theatrical remake of The Hitcher.
No kidding.
That'll be released next year. Michael Bay, the well-known director, is producing.
Very nice.
So we did that, but we did a few other films that I won't tell you the name of.
Some of them weren't quite so successful. I mean, we're gonna.
Well, let's go to the thing that you guys have been hyping since you walked into the store.
Well,
I'm dying. I've never had this wine, so let's talk about it.
This is very exciting. Charlie sort of invented this, but
sort of.
Well, you did. You did. Well, I mean, but you had a concept. This is made in the same way that ice wine is made, although in the case of ice wine, Mother Nature freezes the grapes on the vines. That doesn't happen in California.
Not quite.
So we have to we crush the grapes and freeze the must or the juice with the skins in the winery. And we do a bunch of other things.
This is, from a chemical physics standpoint, this is exactly the same thing as ice wine. We're not allowed to call it ice wine because it's not naturally frozen on the vine. But the same thing happens.
Sure.
That you basically, the water consumes.
We're actually we're more efficient at it, though, because we do it in the winery. We're able to take out more water than Mother Nature.
And this is 100% Zinfandel. It's actually the only wine we make that doesn't have something else blended in it.
Yes.
And I will tell you a true story. My assistant winemaker at the time, when I had the idea to do this, and he said,
you're going to do this in front of God and everybody?
He said on a Zinfandel ice wine, he said, that's the stupidest idea I've ever heard of in my life. He said, you'll sell 20 cases. Nobody will care for it. It said such a bad idea. He said, I'm not going to help you. And we were busy, and I said, fine, you don't want to help me? Don't help me. I'll do it all myself. So I did it all myself. But suffice to say, we made 3,000 cases of this wine last year. It's been a huge success.
Huge cult following, right?
It's a big, and this wine not only, it's incredible with dark chocolate. We tell people you sip the wine,
then
take some little dark chocolate and chase it, and it's as good a combination of food and wine as you'll ever taste. The Zen, it tastes very raspberry, and that's from fermenting this Zen really cold. 12%.
12, not high, not too bad at all.
16% residual sugar, so it has a very high acid level. But we want you to do what we said.
Now he's got to try the chocolate and taste the wine again, but he's doing his wine thing first. Leave him alone. Yeah. He's got his own.
Now, while the chocolate's still in your mouth,
while the wine is.
Imagine this is like a dark chocolate dessert with raspberry sauce.
Yeah, this is the kind of wine that I like to call tricks people. That's my saying for it. Don't take it the wrong way. It's the kind of wine that's so delicious, you love it. You just really can't. You can't.
The crazy thing about this wine is a significant amount of what we make of this, and this is not something we pushed, it's just developed, is used as a martini mix.
Is that right?
It's called a Frozini.
Nice.
1-to-1 with vodka.
Okay.
And you shake it
Somebody
up.
Somebody get the Grey Goose.
You shake it up like a martini with cracked ice, strain it into a chilled glass, and at that point you can go one of two ways. You can either rim it with a lemon twist and drop it in, or you can rim the glass with some grated dark chocolate.
Considering the chocolate combo between my wife and my mom, I think we can take the entire allocation. So, what is the suggested retail for this?
It'll be around $25 for this.
That's a good value for this dessert wine. This is really a tremendous value and a really great drink. And I want to get the chocolate out of my system and taste a little bit later by itself because I kind of felt tasting it. It's just a great little dessert by itself.
No, it's fabulous.
Nice day outside.
And then you can pour it over berries for dessert. It's
multi-dimensional.
It has unlike port, it has a very fresh berry flavor that's very unique.
I think you can tell on this wine especially, it's very multi-dimensional, just like the Meekers. I want to thank you guys for being here.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time on Wine Library TV.